Hey, good afternoon. It's Thursday, so that means it's story time for Seatuck Environmental Association, based in Islip, Long Island, New York. This is Mary Miller. I'll be here today with you to do our weekly story time. Maybe you're catching us live, or maybe you will be catching the video later on, but I hope you enjoyed the story. Today, the story will be about a moose, and he's telling a story of how the state animal is selected. Now, in New York, which is where we are, maybe many of you are from New York, but every state has a state flower, a state bird, etc. So, do you happen to know any of the New York State symbols? Okay, let's start with the bird. I'm going to show you in a minute, in case you don't know this bird. Maybe you've never seen it. The bluebird. Many of us know the blue jay, but the bluebird is the New York State bird, and I'll show you the picture. How about the state mammal? It's an animal that we really haven't seen on Long Island. I think I might have heard that there's a little bit of a comeback, but beaver. We haven't seen beaver on Long Island very much, but maybe there's a chance that there may be a beaver on Long Island. So that's the mammal. And how about the reptile? Do you know what reptile? It's a turtle, a particular turtle, the snapping turtle, and I'll show you a picture of that as well. So the rose is our state flower, and there's a whole, you can find the list everywhere, but every state has its unique list of symbols. So that's what our story is about today, and I can't wait to show it to you. It's very colorful and about a great animal. Personally, I like the moose. Seen them a few times in New Hampshire, those places where you see somebody pulled over to the side of the road and you finally have your chance to see that amazingly huge mammal that is, I've seen it in New Hampshire, and wow, they're tremendous. They have lots of signs in that state that mention the number of collisions cars have had with moose, because it's unbelievable. They're so huge. But anyway, I'm going to flip the camera so I can show you pictures of some of these New York State symbols that I mentioned. So hang on, and we'll start the story in a moment. Okay, so I mentioned our state bird is the bluebird. Take a look at that. They're just beautiful. Now, this particular picture I have, this is the male, because you may know the males are the more colorful of the birds, and we have the picture of the female, who generally needs to blend in a bit more with the surroundings. So we've got the female as well as the male, and that's the New York State bird. So I'll stop a moment, say hello to Virginia and the Lewandowskis, yes, beavers, and the Mills family. Hi, everybody. Oh, my dog is growling. He wants something. I may have to let him out for a moment. Okay, so the other animals that I mentioned were the reptile. Do you remember the reptile I mentioned? The state reptile is a snapping turtle. I know we've seen these at the South Shore Environmental Center. And, excuse me a minute. Household chore. Oh, come on, Mooch, come out. Come on, Mooch. Go. Big dog. Okay. All right. Sorry about that interruption. Okay, so we've got the snapping turtle, and notice the tail. It looks so ancient, it's just so ancient, like a dinosaur tail, doesn't it? So that's the snapping turtle. So that's the New York State reptile. And then the beaver, I have marked in this book as well. This is a great natural history book. And the beaver, here's all the different mammals, is over here. Let's take a look. There's the beaver, and something so distinctive. I know that Miles and Ellis, who are with us today, they are visiting a place that has a beaver dam, a beaver lodge. So here's a picture, and look at that tail, that flat tail, so distinctive. And he is a rodent, so he needs to keep chewing. And if he doesn't chew things like wood, his teeth will just keep growing and growing and growing. All rodents have to keep chewing, gnawing on wood so that to keep their teeth in check. Not like us. Our teeth will grow to a certain size and then they'll stop. So those are some of the animals I wanted to mention to you. And one more little animal that is a New York State symbol, the insect. Think about what might be the New York State insect. I'll give you 2 seconds and then I'll tell you. 1, 2. It's the ladybug. I think that's a favorite of everybody, so that's great. So the ladybug is the New York State insect, symbol of New York State. Okay, so here we go. Here's our book. Hi, Kim. Hi, Amanda. Thanks for joining us. So the book is Adventures of Maynard, the Maine Moose. Now, Maine, of course, is a different state. It's north of us, maybe 5 or 6 hours away, and it will be, this is about the moose. Okay, so one more little visit over to the dog. Okay, go ahead, Mooch. Sorry about that. Okay, back to the story. Okay, so first, starting off, we've got pictures here of just the outdoors, some things going on in the tree. Take a look. What do you see there? And lots of pretty flowers. Okay, it was raining in the Maine woods. A light rain that went pitter-patter on the leaves. Clara Chickadee, oh, that's who we just saw. Clara Chickadee was tucked safely in her new nest. Regina Rabbit was staying dry under a tiny tree. The sounds were gentle. Suddenly, there was a thud, ka-thud, ka-thud, and a noisy crash. It sounded like thunder. So, let's see, where is that Regina Rabbit? Here she is. Oh, and look what happened. Can you see from the picture what the big noise was? There's the tree, and see what's on the ground? I'm going to guess that was the big noise. It fell. It fell. So, what's the loud noise? Asked Clara as she landed on the hollow tree below. It's only Maynard, replied Regina. He often takes this path to the lake for his moose bath. You can always hear Maynard coming. Oh, so the loud noise was the moose coming. So here's our first glimpse in the story of Maynard the moose. Even though he tried, Maynard was just too big to be quiet. His legs were long and gawky. He stumbled over everything as he walked through the Maine woods. When he tried to push his way through a thicket, thwop, branches swung back and tangled in his new antlers. As he ran through the woods, the ground shook. There's Maynard and Regina Rabbit. Maynard's snorting and grunting echoed through the woods, but nothing could compare to his moose call. Wahoo! It was like a loud horn, a noise that could be heard from high on the mountain to deep in the valley. Because of all these things, Maynard knew he wasn't like the other animals. We got a bird, another bird in the tree. And, beautiful. This looks like a lady slipper, this beautiful plant that we see in the spring. Other little critters. Oh, look at him. He wasn't at all like his friend Chester Chipmunk, so soft and small. Maynard was always surprised to see how many nuts and berries Chester could pack inside his puffy chipmunk cheeks. I think one of the things he packs in there is what's sitting right next to him. See that acorn? That's what he packs in his cheeks. So in the wintertime, he carries all of them into his burrow and puts them in the burrow underground. So he might snooze a little when it gets really cold in the winter, but when he wakes up, he has his little snacks nearby so he can have a snack. Because he's an animal that's so tiny. Could you imagine him trying to fatten up for the winter? That would be very difficult. He's way too small. Okay, so if only I could sing as sweetly as Seth Sparrow, Maynard wished. All I can do is make loud noises that disturb my forest friends. Maynard sighed deeply. It was clear that he wasn't happy being a big, noisy moose. Just as it stopped raining, Maynard arrived at the lake. Ka-thud, ka-thud, ka-plash. Maynard charged into the lake and stood almost to his shoulders in the water. Ooh, remember I mentioned the blue jay before? Here's one now. See, he's a little different. He's got that pointy crest on his head, not like the blue bird I showed you. Okay, here's Maynard in the water. When Maynard lowered his head to take a drink, he saw his reflection in the water. Did you ever do that? See your reflection? It's like a mirror. I wish I weren't so different from the rest of my friends, he thought. I'm so big. Even though he was a young moose, he was fully grown. He knew he was the biggest animal in all the North Woods. Most of the time, he didn't think about it, but whenever he saw his reflection, it reminded him of how different he really was. Some lily pads in the water. They're blooming. Maynard waited. That means he walked out. It sounds like he waited, like he was waiting for something, but wade means that you just walk into the water. Sometimes you probably do that where the water isn't so deep. You just walk in and wade. He waded to the edge of the lake for his breakfast while chomping on some pickerel weeds. Oh, there they are. I've seen pickerel weeds when I've canoed. That's the pickerel weeds growing right out of the water. He noticed Paul Turtle sunning himself on a nearby log. Hello, Paul. Doesn't look like the snapping turtle that we mentioned before, a different type of turtle. So here's Maynard. He moved a little closer to say hi when, kerplunk, he knocked Paul into the lake with his nose. I don't think he meant to do that. Oops. There he goes. What's the big idea, gurgled Paul as he came up for air. I guess I got too close, Maynard bellowed. I'll never get used to being so big. Seems all I do is bump into things. You're still my friend, giggled Paul. I don't know how, but you're both clumsy and gentle at the same time. Sounds like a nice friend. I'm very lucky to have a friend like Paul, Maynard thought, as he waded to the next patch of pickerel weeds. He was so busy thinking of what Paul said, he almost walked right past Rebecca Raccoon. There's Rebecca. Oh, and wait a minute, look at under here. I see another little critter in the water. Can you see him? Under the lily pad. Lots of times we'll see them sitting on top of a lily pad in the water. The little froggers. Okay. Hi, Maynard, she chattered. Oh, hello, he replied. Where's your new family today? I haven't met them yet. Oh, they were frightened when they saw you, Rebecca squeaked. They've never seen anything as big as you. Maynard looked up into the tree, and there they were, staring out from behind their masks. Come on down, bellowed Maynard, trying to sound friendly. After some raccoon chatter and an assuring nod from their mother, Rachel and Zach Raccoon came down for a closer look. They wanted to meet Maynard. Wow, look at the size of him, said Zach. He's the biggest thing I've ever seen. As Zach turned to speak with Rachel, his bushy tail brushed up against Maynard's nose. Maynard's nose began to twitch and tickle and twitch some more. Then suddenly, what happens when your nose gets a little tickled? I think I know what happened. Achoo! As he sneezed, the cattails swayed and the ground shook. If it hadn't been for the young pine tree nearby, Maynard's sneeze would have blown Zach right into the lake. Whoa, they held on. Look at them holding on. Oh my goodness. And the pickerel weed, oh no, those are the cattails down here. The cattails are moving from the big sneeze as well. See with the brown tips right here, those are the cattails. Oh, funny. Oh, and here's the little chipmunk in the picture too, over here. Chipmunk. He's much smaller than the raccoons, even though the raccoons are babies. Oh, here is a favorite. Now, when we talk about symbols, I told you about the New York symbols, the animals and the plants. Well, here is a symbol of our country. I bet you know what it is. Maynard's sneeze had echoed across the lake and high into the sky. Eldon Eagle heard it and swooped down to see what the noise was all about. Yes, the eagle is our national symbol for our whole country. Here they are all together. I thought that was you, Maynard, screeched Eldon. I've been looking for you, and the raccoons, too. There's going to be a meeting of all the forest animals. Eldon, the eagle, landed on a fallen tree nearby. We need to choose one animal that will be the symbol of Maine, one animal that's very special to the Maine woods, the state of Maine. They're picking the animal that represents the state of Maine. That's a great idea, mumbled Rebecca as she munched on acorns. We're meeting tomorrow when the sun is high at the clearing near Pogie Pond, Eldon said. Oh, so there's going to be a meeting. Maine's special animal, Maynard thought, that's a nice idea. He plodded down the path towards the blueberry patch. There are so many wonderful animals in the forest. I don't know which one to choose. Here we go. Yeah, he's right by the birch tree. Oh, these must be nuthatches. They're walking down the tree. That's unusual to watch a bird do that, but the little nuthatches walk down the tree looking for insects. Okay. Oh, here's our New York State mammal. Remember what he is? There he is. As he walked past the bog, he noticed Bucky Beaver and his family patching their beaver lodge. Gee, they're hard workers, Maynard said to himself. Maybe they should be the symbol of our forest. He's chewing the wood to get sticks. He's chewing and he'll break off that branch and bring it to build his lodge. Whoop, here's another animal we haven't seen yet. You know what he is? I bet you do. Black and white. Just beyond the bog, Silas Skunk scurried by, playing hide and seek with a dragonfly. If Silas didn't smell so badly, he'd be a good choice, Maynard thought. His fluffy tail is so pretty. Maynard decided to walk around Silas, and very quietly, too. Maynard knew that if he startled Silas, the smell could be much worse. That's how those skunks protect themselves. If danger comes near, they can spray a very smelly liquid on animals that might bother them. Maynard stopped at the edge of the field and saw Justin Bear standing right in the middle of the blueberry patch. Oh, that's like our Blueberries for Sale book that we read a few weeks ago, the bear eating the blueberries. Because Justin was the oldest and smartest black bear in all of Maine's woods, Maynard thought he'd ask Justin to help him make a choice. Maynard stumbled through the field towards him. Hi, hollered Maynard. Did you hear about the meeting tomorrow? Oh, now look how big the bear is. Here's when the bear was far away, so he looks so small. But now that they're standing next to each other, we can see they're both pretty big. Yes, roared Justin, and I know who I'm going to choose. Who is it? Will you tell me? Bellowed Maynard, snorting with excitement. I'll give you a clue, said Justin. There is no other animal in the Maine woods like this one. Who do you think the bear is going to vote for? Here they are walking together, friends in the wild. Maynard was puzzled. As they walked down the path together, he asked, "Can you give me another clue?" All I can tell you is that the animal I'm choosing is very special. If you think about it long and hard, you'll guess. Suddenly, Justin spotted some honeybees buzzing around a clump of daylilies. He decided to follow them back to their hive for a snack of honey. See you at the meeting, Maynard, Justin said, and don't worry about it. I'm sure you'll have decided which one it should be by tomorrow. But Maynard was worried about it. He couldn't decide if one animal was more special than another, for he loved them all. And here there are the honeybees. The bear's going to follow them back to their hives so he can get the honey they made. They make the honey for themselves, but hey, the bear wants to get some of it too. Okay, here's another animal friend of his. Maynard thought about Owen Otter, so playful and streamlined. He loves to tease the butterflies. I think we can even recognize this butterfly. He's been given a certain special color in this book. Do you recognize those colors? I'd guess monarch butterfly, one of our favorites. Oh, and here's the chickadee friend again, Clara Chickadee. And look who's here. Ah, beautiful picture. Dora Deer is always so timid and shy, but when she moves through the forest, prancing gracefully over the logs and rocks, she is like a ballerina. We see so many deer at our school at the South Shore Nature Center. It's wonderful. Their white tail goes up in the air when they sense danger, and they run off all together. Oh boy, more animals. So many. Sherwood squirrel is a mischief maker, troublemaker, and noisy too. A summer's day in Maine wouldn't be complete without hearing his chattering sound of chicory. And look at this animal. Do you recognize him? Pearl porcupine always puzzled Maynard with quills. That's what you call each of these. They look like hairs. They're called quills, very stiff and very sharp. With quills from her head to her tail, she looked like a prickly cactus. Certainly, there was no other animal like Pearl. As the sun set behind Mount Katahdin, Maynard still had not made up his mind. The next day, Maynard headed towards Pogie Pond. It was a beautiful summer day. All the birds seemed to be singing louder than usual, and there was animal chatter coming from everywhere. The forest was filled with excitement, for today was the day they would choose their symbol of the Maine woods. See all the animals that have come for the meeting? We've got you recognize that one, the raccoon with the mask, our chickadee, the rabbits, and that looks like we've got maybe that's the otter right there coming out of the water. It was still morning when Maynard arrived at the pond, and the long walk had made him very hungry. Spotting a cove speckled with water lilies, Maynard galloped along the shore, splashing all the way. I still have some time before the meeting starts, he thought. Here he comes, walking across the water. And without realizing, there he is, how late it was getting, Maynard began chomping on the sweet water lilies. Back at the clearing, the animals began gathering. Maynard was still eating as Justin Bear called the meeting to order. So he's eating the water lilies. We are here today to choose one special animal, said Justin. Whomever we choose will be a symbol for all of the Maine woods. So many animals. Can you, I'll give you a moment to take a look at all of them. I see raccoons. I see blue jay. I see the bald eagle. Do you see them? The skunk, rabbits, chickadee, bear. Hey, it looks like there's an owl up here too. Did you see all of them? But before Justin could explain that they were to vote, one at a time, all the creatures spoke at once. It was a sound full of chatters and chirps and squeaks, but all together it was very loud. The noise startled Maynard, and he began to gallop across the shallow pond. I'm missing the meeting, Maynard let out a bellow that could be heard across the valley. Whoa! Kaplash, kasplash, whoa! The animals stopped chattering and watched Maynard make his way across the pond. He makes more noise by himself than all of us do together, chirped Seth Sparrow. Justin Bear turned to Eldon Eagle and roared, I vote for Maynard. He's so big, squeaked Zach Raccoon. I vote for Maynard, too. Look at him gallop across the pond, said Owen Otter. I vote for Maynard because he's so strong. He's big and strong, that's for sure, said Regina Rabbit, but I'm voting for Maynard because he is so kind. Everybody saw something different that they liked about Maynard, so many good things. Then one by one, the rest of the animals voted. Maynard finally arrived at full gallop and the ground trembled. You're just in time, said Zach. Have you made a choice? It was so hard to choose one special animal, Maynard said, because you're all very special to me. Well, I'm about to announce the winner, said Justin. You'll have to decide now. After a deep sigh, Maynard bellowed, I vote for you, Justin, because you are so wise. Of course, Justin already knew who the winner was, but Maynard's vote still made him happy. Then with a wide smile, he lumbered up to the top of the knoll, to the hill. Then with a wide smile, he lumbered up, stood tall on his hind legs, and roared, for all the birds and animals in the Maine woods, I hereby proclaim that our forest symbol is Maynard the Moose. All the animals began to cheer. Maynard looked up in astonishment. He was so surprised as he scratched his ear. Look how he scratches like a dog, has his leg up to scratch behind his ear. Did I hear my name, he wondered. Soon everyone had gathered around him. Maynard didn't know what to say. He was happy and honored. He felt loved, and for the first time, he was proud to be a moose. He wanted to say thank you, but because he was so excited, all he could do was bellow, Wahoo! Maynard stood taller than he'd ever stood before. Clara Chickadee flew by and perched atop his antlers. See her? The chickadee is on top of his antlers. And all the other birds are standing by. What a perfect choice, she chirped. Your antlers are like a crown. You are very special. Since that exciting day at Pogie Pond, every moose in the forest feels proud. Each one is the symbol of Maine woods, all because of Maynard. So even though he felt like he was different and that different wasn't good, it turned out that everybody recognized all the wonderful features about him. His kindness, his strength, how smart he was. And that's the end of the story. So remember, there'll be, keep your eyes open for our state symbols, such as the bluebird, and such as the beaver, as well as the snapping turtle, and actually, I don't think I mentioned before, our state fruit, I think, is a favorite of many, the apple. And actually, our state also has a favorite beverage, milk. So we've got a lot of special features about the state of New York, and other states have their own selections, and you can take a look at those when you're visiting. Maybe you can even guess what some of them are. Well, thanks for coming by. Oh, you did see a beaver, Ellis and Miles. Oh, you saw it in my picture. I hope you saw one in person too, because I know you're in an area now where beaver are living. So everybody enjoy the weekend. Every day at 2:30 you can catch something live or follow up for a video, because they're all recorded and saved. Miss Michelle does her story on Tuesday at 2:30, and we'll be back here again next Thursday for another story. So we'll say goodbye to Maynard and all of his friends, and I'll sign off. This is Mary Miller from Seatuck Environmental Association. Bye-bye.